Hey guys, welcome to NIJ Changemakers. This is Priyanka Deo, and today we are here with Mr. Tejasvi Surya. How are you, Tejasvi?
Hi Priyanka.
Thank you for being here. First of all, tell me what the campaign experience was like.
You mean to say my campaign in Bangalore South? Well,
yeah.
it was amazing actually. I got about 18, 19 days for the campaign, 20 days actually, and the greatest learning was if people are with you, then no force on earth can actually stop you. And the kind of Modi wave that I saw in Bangalore South, I may be wrong, but I think Bangalore South is one of the constituencies in the country which has the maximum Modi wave, because it turned out to be a volunteer driven, volunteer led campaign, because Bangalore South, Priyanka, like you know, is a very educated constituency,
Right.
has a great number of educated young people.
Yep.
And they all took sabbaticals for almost the whole campaign time, and they came on the streets wearing Namo Again t-shirts, Modi once more, and it just showed me, the kind of faith that people across socio-political spectrums, whether it was the textile, the garment workers in the textile factories, whether it was those auto rickshaw drivers in the slums of Bangalore, or whether it was the IT employees in the electronic city campuses of the city of the constituency, all of them across the board have such immense hope and faith in the Prime Minister, because they have not only seen his performance from the last 5 years, but they are also looking forward to a new India, which they all collectively want to build. So that was one thing. The second thing was, ours was a very young campaign. Right. So, our whole team, the average age of people who were working in the campaign was 25 to 30.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, so it was like so surreal actually, because it was all of us, we would take decisions on our own. We would decide when to campaign, where to campaign, the strategies of the campaign, how to handle the media, raise funds on the other hand, talk to community leaders. And this is hardcore grassroots political work that had to be done.
Right.
So thankfully, God's grace, blessings of all seniors of the party, all of them came together, and we pulled off a great campaign. Awesome. And it was, trust me, no college, no university in the world will give you a crash course in HR management, people management, finance management, media management. I mean, so many things in just a 15-day crash course.
There you go.
So it was a great learning experience.
No, that's awesome.
And there's just one thing I want to say.
Sure.
Because my candidature created so much of a ripple effect throughout the country, and so many young people, especially people who are interested to work in the field of politics, felt that there is a political party in this country which places immense faith in its young people, in its young cadre, irrespective of the fact whether they have a surname from a big political family or not.
Right.
And I must thank the Prime Minister of this country, and I must thank the party president and the BJP Parivar for having given me this opportunity and having made a symbolic gesture that the BJP truly represents the aspirations, voice, and the dreams of the young people of India.
Let me ask you a question, a follow-up question to that statement. Now, there are other young icons in this country, icons or people that have media attention and media spotlight, that perhaps have different ideals than you, that talk about very different things, different ideologies. Now, what advice would you give to young people? You made a statement a little bit before that there's a lot going on, there's a lot of information out there. Your campaign was very social media driven. So there's a plethora of information out there. Now, what advice would you have to a young person who is perhaps still trying to find or shape their ideas, their ideology, what they stand for? They still don't have the answers for that.
It's a great question actually, because I will tell you my journey. When I was in college and I was exposed to only the literature, especially literature relating to social sciences and politics, which was the ones that were given by the university. I had a very different worldview. But once I started reading more and I started reading philosophers and thinkers directly, and there are 4 people who have greatly influenced my political outlook, and that is Vivekananda, Aurobindo, Ambedkar and Savarkar. So once I started reading people like them directly, their own works, unadulterated, unvarnished, then I started thinking
How old
for
were you
myself.
when you started reading?
Well, around 16, 17,
Okay.
that's when, I started reading all of this parallelly to what I was reading in college. So, if I would read something in college and I would be reading, what Vivekananda was saying, I would read something in college which was so diametrically different from what Ambedkar would say in his writings. And naturally these questions would come in my mind as to what is right and what is what are the ideas that have actually framed and formed and forged this country. And once you contemplate on these ideas independently, any rational thinking person would make decisions for himself.
Right.
So the only advice or suggestion that I can make to all the young people who are now trying to form their own political ideologies and ideas is read as much as you can and try reading people in their originals than commentaries, because the political prejudices of the commentator often takes the color, rather bears the color on the original writings of the people. So read them, think on your own, contemplate, and go by what is truthful only, go by facts, because everyone is entitled to their opinion, but nobody is entitled to their own set of facts. Facts are sacrosanct. So I have always said that there must be absolutely an encouragement for freedom of expression, thought in this country, and people should, that's the blessing that we have in this constitution. So go out, read as much as you can. This is an age where thanks to cheap and affordable mobile internet, all of us have access to tomes of information on any subject that we want to read upon. Read as much as you can, listen to people, great people speaking. I mean, that's what I have done. So and most importantly, form opinions on your own.
Let's take that one step further. Now, what I noticed in your campaign and in your interviews that I've seen is it's a very interesting mix of ideology as well as practicality. And this is where a lot of young people feel that they can relate to you, and also they're a bit confused by it, because I don't think that they kind of have converged that mix of ideology and practicality. So what advice or what thoughts do you have on that? How did you kind of combine the two?
Ideology is one thing and political reality is another.
Right.
And when you are a political activist, you are working with a set of realities in the country, and you try to educate, rather create such public opinion in the society dependent on your ideological pre-grounding, so that the society takes one step at a time towards the larger ideal which you think is the right one. This is basically the whole difference. This is basically what all political parties, depending on their ideas, try to do in the spectrum of politics. Let me just give you the example of the Prime Minister. In the last 5 years, there have been an n number of articles written by both the national as well as international journals trying to find out what is Modi's economic ideology. People said, because he comes from the RSS, is Modi's ideology a very Swadeshi, no to foreign goods, no to foreign investment kind of an ideology? People also interpreted, is Modi-nomics a capitalist economy? Because he is, he came with the background of the Gujarat investors meet, being, encouraging to businesses, industries. Then these were predominant, and he spoke of maximum governance and minimum government. So so people tried to figure out what Modi's ideology was. Right. But what did the Prime Minister do in the last 5 years? He ensured that India today is the world's most hottest foreign direct investment attracting destination.
Right.
He ensured that there was a plethora of reforms which were unleashed, which took India towards being a more modern, more progressive economy. He ensured that business starting a business, closing a business, running a business was made so much more easier. In that sense, he was a capitalist. And if you can, use that terminology. And then he was also ensuring that schemes like Ayushman Bharat, schemes like Ujjwala Yojana, schemes like Saubhagya, these were all rolled out. Schemes like Jan Dhan. In that sense, you can call him a welfare socialist.
Right.
But I would say he's a realist, because he knows what is to be done for the benefit of the people. So I think so many times if you look at...
What would you call yourself?
Well, I am living in an age where a Prime Minister like Modi, who is a doer, who is, the best thing about him is he is both a thinker and a doer. So I think that's the best combination that any political leader must aspire to be, and that's what I aspire to be, a thinker and a doer. The Prime Minister is an epitome of this example. So he knows what is to be done for the country. He has ideas of his own. He takes great ideas from people and he ensures that the execution is done to the T. So he doesn't bind himself in any ideology. That's the best part about him. So, once we blind ourselves or bind ourselves to ideologies, then you limit yourself and you limit the potential of your work to the four corners of that ideology.
Okay.
So,
that's interesting.
So, we need to grow beyond ideologies, we need to grow beyond prejudices, we need to grow beyond these limitations to see what works.
Right.
And that's what I said in the while answering your previous question. Ideologies may be opinions, but facts and truth is different. And I think the greatest ideology, the greatest contribution rather of the Sanatana Hindu culture in this country is to encourage its followers to seek the unvarnished truth in the way they deem fit, in the path they deem fit. So we must develop the courage of conviction to see the truth for what it is and call spade a spade.
You use the term aspirational youth a lot. How do you define New India, and what is the role of aspirational youth in New India? Great.
So, Priyanka, I'm sure when you have spoken to young people across, the country, I have been following your travels. When you interact with them, he may be a young adult in his, 19, 20, 21, his late teens or early 20s. Even that, he wants to wear an Adidas shoes. He wants to wear a Nike t-shirt. He wants to wear a Ray-Ban shades. This aspirational new young India wants a better quality of life. Right. They want a better standard of living. This is the first thing. And to achieve that, they are ready to work hard. And they are ready to take risks in the country, in their lives. And they are ready to venture into territories hitherto unknown and take risks and also the attendant consequences that come by taking such risks, which is why today the Stand-up India, the Startup India, the Mudra loans which the Prime Minister has started is such a phenomenally successful initiative, because the young people today want a better quality of life, better standard of living, and they want to do it by standing on their own feet. That's the first aspect of a new India. The second aspect I think that stands out is when you compare any progress of a society or a civilization, there are many ideas and attitudes that define the that particular age and that particular generation. I was interacting with this girl from North Karnataka who said no to a wedding proposal, a marriage proposal, because there was no pakka toilets in the matrimonial home that she was supposed to get married to. So I think that is a voice that was not there all these days.
Right, for sure.
Yes, right. So because she says that the Prime Minister of this country is standing from the ramparts of the Red Fort and is promising all women that India is going to be an open defecation free society, and the least that the man who wants to marry me should ensure is I have a dignified life in the matrimonial home I go to, and a dignified life would mean having a pakka toilet in the home. So she said no to that. So that voice which wasn't there for that rural girl is today there. So this is new India.
Difference. Yep.
That's a difference. It's an emboldened India, an audacious India. The third aspect, Priyanka, what I see is so discernible, especially coming from a constituency like Bangalore South, which is the startup hub of the country, is young Indians, especially young educated Indians today, coming from lower middle class families, are not limiting their dreams and their visions to the boundaries of the city, the state, or even the country. They want to solve problems of the world. So when I interact with young startup entrepreneurs in coffee shops in Bangalore, trying to work out of a Starbucks or a coffee day or a barista, I see them trying to solve problems in the same manner that another counterpart of theirs is trying to solve, say, in Tel Aviv or Sydney or in New York. Right. So this is a new India. It's audacious. They are bold. They want to take risks. They want to see a better standard of living. And in addition to all of these things, they want to stay true to their cultural roots. That's another very, very big aspect that we are witnessing. If the Prime Minister's Ganga Aarti on the banks of the Varanasi can get such immense following, such immense viewership on social media, which is predominantly watched by young people, right, it shows that they also want to go back to their cultural roots. So I am seeing not only an economic revival and renaissance in the country, but we are also witnessing a great cultural renaissance in India, where the young people want to go back and find their true Hindu cultural roots.
Okay, so let's backtrack a little bit to your campaign, because you mentioned taking risks, that youth are willing to take risks, and that's definitely something that I saw. And when I spoke to youth, they didn't even have to say it. It was almost like it was just inbred in them that we want to do something meaningful, and they were willing to go out on a limb to do it. Taking risks and the combination of that and accessibility, right? Everyone has a smartphone. Usage has grown exponentially over the past 5 years. Everyone has access to the internet. Most everyone has access to the internet. It will soon be 100%. Now, your campaign was hit with quite a bit of controversy in the first half. This is a problem with youth across the world, and I've been in many different cities, that they come and ask me, Priyanka, I have a job interview or I have a school interview. What do I do with my social media? How do I shape it? Because they put anything and everything out there, from a Snapchat streak to a tweet to an Instagram picture.
Yeah.
There's so much information for a single person out there, and there's so much information out there on the internet that is searchable. Now employers are using that. The world is using that. The world can see what you're putting out there. What advice would you give to youth in terms of what information they should put out there? Maybe not necessarily to get into politics, but just to get into a profession, if they have political aspirations.
Yeah.
What advice do you have?
Well, there were quite a few learnings for me in the whole campaign, because there were a lot of tweets of mine which I had made in 2012, 2013, which were mined by those people who wanted to create a sinister campaign against me, and tried to put it out of context, use some old photographs of mine, sitting in my doing some puja with an Ayudh Puja program and twisting it again. So there were these things, and I think if you aspire to be in politics, these things are made into a controversy. But I would advise discretion, definitely, by anybody, whichever field that you want to, whatever profession you might want to practice, in what you put out on social media, because today your digital footprint is something that can always be tracked. It can always be, it just, once you put it never goes. So it's always better to exercise caution, because if people just want to get nasty, they will just take anything and hit at you. But for those who are in the political sphere, just always ensure that you do what is good. Keep your conscience clean. Just do the right thing. And when you're doing the right thing, if 100 people try to pull you down, they can't. They may try to break you. They may try to break your spirit. But stay the course, because the one who stays strong is the one who will eventually cross the line. So that's the ones for people, irrespective of the career choice. Just stay strong to yourself and to your roots, and of course exercise discretion in terms of what you will put out in social media. It's always better, but that doesn't mean that you have to be uninhibited I mean, rather, you have to limit yourself or like censor yourself in terms of expressing your views. A lot of people ask me, there were so many views that you had put out in 2012, 2013, which may not necessarily be politically correct in today's times. Do you still agree with that? I said, we all change. I am not a stone. I mean, if you won't change if you are a fool, right? So even Mahatma Gandhi ji had written that because he was once asked that on the same subjects there are many divergent views that you have written at multiple points in time. Which should we consider as your stand on this issue? He said, go back and read my latest writing. That will be the my latest stand on the subject, because ideas evolve, people evolve. So I mean, if you don't evolve, you are an inanimate object. So write, read, express yourself, but be bold enough to speak the truth
and stand by what you write.
Yes.
Even if you've changed.
Yes. Which is why I never deleted.
That's what I was just going to ask you.
I never deleted whatever I had written. I never took down photographs which were controversial, because that's a part of me growing up.
Right.
That's a part of my evolution. You cross all of these phases and then you become the man you become. You become the woman that you become. Nobody is born evolved, right? So we all, there's a churning of ideas that takes place. Great number of experiences which shape our life and perspective towards life. And they should all be there. That's what makes a man rich in his outlook towards life.
And it's so funny that everyone's talking about the incredible development and infrastructure that the country is looking at. And there's not that many interviews that I've noticed about the development and infrastructure of a person as they evolve as well. So it's really interesting that you said what you just said. With that being said, can I ask you one more thing, which is, now when we look at Bangalore as a constituency, it's one of the most educated, you said that yourself. What changes do you hope to bring to Bangalore, and in terms of not just development infrastructure, but in terms of motivating youth?
I think, one of the most important things that the Prime Minister showed in the last 5 years is a political leader is not only someone who is the harbinger of political and infrastructural kind of development, but is also a great motivator for people to dream big, to aspire for bigger things, to work hard, to respect talent, to work as a team, to see the larger goal and sacrifice your smaller aspirations for the larger goal. These are all things that he has inspired the whole country to think on these lines. I think as a young city, so many times, in the course of the campaign I said this, but unfortunately it didn't find much space in the media, because the media always likes to search for controversial news only. In so many ways, Priyanka, New Bangalore represents the ethos and aspirations of the new India which Prime Minister speaks of.
Why do you say that?
I say that because, like New India, which is an old civilization and a young nation, Bangalore is one of the oldest cities but has one of the youngest demography.
Right.
Just like how India is one of the most cosmopolitan cities in the world, cosmopolitan countries in the in the world,
yep,
where it is so welcoming of all people, of all color, race, diverse religions. Bangalore has, among the cities of the country, ask anybody where they would want to go and work, or they would want to settle. It's not just the weather of Bangalore, it's also the inclusive, cosmopolitan, harmonious attitude of Bangaloreans which makes people come and live in Bangalore. So in so many ways, New India is like, New Bangalore is so much like New India. And when you are young, even individually, personally, you want to dream big, you want to dream grand things, because you have the inherent faith in your ability that you will be able to achieve those big things. And when you are a young city or a young country, then you have to collectively dream big.
Right.
And I think for a very long time, as a city, we have not dreamt big. And the last time that Bangalore witnessed its golden period of development was in the partnership of S.M. Krishna as the Chief Minister and late Shri Anant Kumar as the Union Cabinet Minister. Right. There was a time when most of the important infrastructural work of Bangalore, whether it is Bangalore's metro, Bangalore's Kaveri 4th stage water, whether it is a suburban rail initiating of the suburban rail project, whether it is Bangalore's new greenfield airport, all of these things took place, during those 5-year period. Yep. Most of the, the seeds were germinated. So I think after that, there has been an apathy in the way we have looked at Bangalore or dreamt for the city. So I think one important thing that I am keen to work with the people of the city as well as all the authorities, either it may be the municipal corporation of the city, whether it is the state government or the central, the union government, is to put Bangalore firmly back on the global map. Because Bangalore has that potential. Bangalore can be, it can compete with say Mumbai or, even outbeat Mumbai in becoming India's new age economic engine, and it has all that potential. So we need to work towards ensuring that the global city potential of Bangalore is tapped, and Bangalore truly becomes a happening, dynamic global metropolis which India can be proud of. And I am so proud of the fact that for the first time today, we have a Prime Minister who speaks the language of a modern political economy, recognizing the fact that cities are the engines of modern India's growth. For far too long, we had stuck ourselves, at least the political discourse of this country, around a very romantic idealism of our villages. It is important we ensure great infrastructure in our villages, but it is an economic reality that cities are the engines of the world. Cities are the engines of economic growth across the country, across the world. And today the Prime Minister speaks of smart cities, he speaks of urban policy, he speaks of urban policy framing, he speaks of better cities. And I think all people in India, especially the ones who are living today in urban areas, they are fortunate to have a Prime Minister who sees this grand vision for making India's cities more livable, more happy, and a great standard of living. That's what we want to do for Bangalore as well.
And what can the people do along with you?
People should participate in the whole governance drive. If you have looked at the last 5 years, one of the reasons why the Prime Minister's campaign and the government is so successful is because he ensured Jan Bhagidari at every point in time. Whether it was giving up of the LPG subsidies, whether it is participating in, using platforms like MyGov, whether it is giving policy ideas, whether it is participating in Swachh Bharat initiatives. Yeah. The Prime Minister ensured that the government is not a single entity which is responsible for driving the country. Right. The government is one part, a public representative is one small aspect of the country's or the society's development. So I request people of Bangalore to come up with ideas. I am so glad that I am already getting so many emails even before the results are declared by so many people expressing their desire to work towards the future of Bangalore, the future of big ideas that we want to do for a city. People are coming up with their initiatives. People are saying that we will come up with a tech platform using which you can communicate to the people of the city. Right. We will come up with using new technologies, how we can make the schooling system in Bangalore even more productive. So many ideas. I think there has to be a two-way approach. One is the accessibility, sensitivity of the public representative, and also the initiative that people must take to come and work on ideas with public representatives. Right. So I think I look forward.
More civic participation.
Yes, definitely.
That's what you're calling for.
Yes, yes.
That's awesome. Well, is there anything, I think I've asked all the questions that I want to have. Well, I have one more question.
Okay.
What are you going to be doing on May 23rd?
Well, on May 23rd, practically the same thing that I was doing on May 16th, 2014. Waiting for that moment where Modi ji will...
Holding your breath.
Yes, well, Modi ji will tweet. On May 16th, I think May 16th was the day when we got the results last year. So...
2014.
2014.
Yep.
He said India has won. So, I am waiting for that second tweet where he will tweet, hopefully, India has won again.
That's what you're waiting. That's what you're going to be waiting for.
Yeah, I want him back, and I want him back with much bigger margin, so that he can do much more work than what has already been accomplished in the last 5 years. And of course, I will be keenly watching with what margin I will be winning.
Okay.
Yes.
That's good. Well, best of luck to you.
Thank you, Priyanka.
You have a lot of fanfare. You have a lot of love from the entire team at NIJ. So we wish you all the best. And thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And that's a wrap for NIJ Changemakers. This is Priyanka Deo signing off.